It's a great pleasure to be with you. It's a great shame that we have to be here at all. I say to my friends next door here and those behind us, you know full well that this squalid, sordid, cruel trade has no place in a civilized country and in a civilized continent. It hasn't for the last 50 years, when the RSPCA first formed its Special Operations Unit, our undercover officers, who trailed the consignments in their millions of calves and sheep from this country. And of course what they found is what we all know, that those creatures are not treated with the dignity and justice and respect that they deserve on those trips. They're not sent, as one colleague from the National Farmers Union described at a meeting at the RSPCA headquarters recently, to, and I use his word, the palaces of the abattoirs of Europe. They're not treated with respect and compassion in accordance with United Kingdom law and European Union law when they arrive at their destination. Europe recognises at long last that these creatures like us are sentient beings. Like us. Like us, they know pain. And like us, they deserve, each one of them, to be treated with love and compassion. So what has been the story of the port of Ramsgate? Well, in April, following a meeting with Thanet District Council, permission was granted for RSPCA inspectors to be present each time consignments of calves and sheep entered the port of Ramsgate. And we pressed and asked that the inspectors of animal health should inspect each one of those consignments. And to be fair, the numbers of inspections increased. They went from 30% of those consignments to 60%. Now, our friends in animal health had said that we inspect these lorries on a risk-based assessment. Well, my friends, if you think about the mathematics of this, were that to be the case, then if the number of inspections doubled, you would have expected the number of infringements against the regulations to have halved. Because after all, they must have been looking at the 30% which probably were causing the greatest concerns. In fact, the number of offences remained unaltered. And I would put it to our friends behind us that if they had inspected every single truck, they would have found, as the RSPCA officers found, animals crammed in against the regulatory requirements, the wrong animals loaded with each other, ventilation systems that simply did not work, feeding and watering systems that simply did not work. But of course, as you know, there's a tragic picture on our campaign bus shows, the situation got far worse very recently, when a truck arrived into the port of Ramsgate, where clearly the functioning of the hydraulic systems on that lorry had failed. And as a result, the floor and the alignment of the decks of the truck with the sides was not correct. Sheep were on board that truck. They'd been packed into the floors which were working. But as a result, sheep's limbs appeared at the sides of the lorry, sticking out of those lorries. And it was obvious to an RSPCA officer, an officer I had the great pleasure of honouring at a previous ceremony just a few days before this event, that there was a sheep down on the top deck that could not get back up. Veterinary surgeons were summoned. Discussions were held. But also, previously at the request of Thanet District Council, the RSPCA, our experts in our farm animals department, assessed the port of Ramsgate. And we found, and it was no surprise to us and no surprise to Thanet District Council, The facilities in the Port of Ramsgate were wholly and totally inadequate, should there be such a problem as that arose a few weeks ago. Attempts were made to find a different truck which could be reversed up to the tailgates of the lorry so the sheep could be unloaded across those trucks and the sheep down could be rescued. No such vehicle was available. And the decision was made by Animal Health on advice from the veterinary surgeons that they should unload the lorry to rescue the sheep. As they unloaded that lorry, they discovered that in fact it wasn't just one sheep that was badly damaged, its leg indeed was broken, but there were 39 sheep on board that lorry who were lame. And in the professional assessment of the veterinary surgeon's presence, the majority of those sheep had not suffered lameness during the journey from Petra. Rather, they had been loaded lame. As you know, when you have 500 sheep in a port with no facilities, it is difficult to control them. The decision was taken by the animal health inspectors to place those sheep into a jet wash area because it had two walls on either side. Truck barricade the ends to create a makeshift pen that our friends are standing in right now. In the chaos that ensued, nobody was aware that there was a small drain the size of where I'm standing right now. And that drainage cover was disturbed by the sheep. And as a result of that, one by one in the crush, sheep were forced down into that drain. It was originally believed that 3 of them were dragged into the drain, crushed by the weight of their body. The following day, the full body was recovered. In saying such a place of safety exists. It exists in Kent. Indeed, you were told the European Commission that such a place, and there exists in Kent. Yet when this situation arose, the decision was not to take the remaining sheep back to such a place of safety, but rather to return them from whence they had came, which was Kettering in Northampton. I have to say to you gently, that begs a very big question about whether you're actually telling the truth to the people of this country and to the European Commission. And I'm encouraged that the European Commission has brought forward their veterinary inspection of facilities in this lab. And I suspect, my friends behind me, you're going to have some pretty serious questions to answer as a result. Now, those sheep were put out of their suffering at the Port of Ramsgate, and all sheep have now been put out of their suffering at the Port of Ramsgate because, to their eternal credit, Thanet District Council met and decided that they would immediately suspend the trade. I say to you, as we said to them, had they had not done so, then the RSPCA would have entered into court the requirement to do so. That, I'm glad to say, was not necessary. The following day, Laura Sands, the Member of Parliament which covers the area of Ramsgate, and I came into this building. I came as a guest of Laura. She is, by the way, a Conservative Member of Parliament. The foundation of the RSPCA was on the 16th of June 1824, the second attempt to form the world's first national animal welfare society. And the difference that was made that day as to why the second meeting the first had not was the presence in the room of William Wilberforce, who recognised in his crusade against slavery for the decency of humanity that compassion is indivisible with our fellow creatures. And for those of you who know your political history, you'll know that William Wilberforce was a member of the Tory party, the foundation of the Conservative party. So again, I say to Conservatives, the principal ministers in this building, the RSPCA is not aligned with any party. We do not run our campaigns or our stands for political or fundraising purposes, as some have suggested. I have no agenda but one, And that is to ensure that our fellow creatures, in all aspects of their lives and their interaction with us, that those creatures are treated as they are, as sentient beings like us, who deserve care, concern and passion just as bit as we do as people.